Hi, everyone. We are so happy to have you here with us. And this is a special episode. We're going to be talking about closure and endings because Mitra and I have decided to close this season. So we've decided to mark the episodes that we've recorded to date as one season and to create space to introduce a new season that we're really excited about because we've been asking ourselves, how can we offer more value to you, the listener? How can we create a more impactful podcast? And as we were talking about this, I had in my mind, you know what, we'll just continue recording and we'll continue publishing episodes on a weekly basis. But Mitra proposed, Ben, why don't we bring this season, why don't we call what we've done until now a season? And why don't we bring that to a close so that we can go into this new season with a fresh start? And I love that. That really resonated. And Mitra, you have specific reasons for why you think that's important. So let's talk about that. What is the significance of us closing season one and coming into season two fresh?
Because all aspects of us, our mind, body, and that energy we call soul, they all love clear and clean endings and fresh beginnings. If you think about anything, either symbolically or literally in life, when it's done in a clean way, when it's clearly ended and started, it usually is a much better experience. I always use like normal things in life. I always say if you open a hem in your dress or pants and just leave it hanging there, it will unravel eventually and won't look good. But if you somehow tie it up and let it be the way it needs to be, it really looks differently. The same, I mean, even culturally, the culture that I come from, we have a very specific tradition around arrival and departure, which is another ending and beginning. Like if you came as a guest, we have a verb for it, a name for it, that I have come to welcome you. And then when you leave, I actually come to see you off. So I actually suggest that for couples and even in workplaces, that you end and begin your day in a more specific and intentional way, because everything feels and goes much smoother when you have a very specific beginning and end. And hence the suggestion that I had, because as you said, you and I talked about how we can improve it, because we know the substance of what we offer is really of value. This is what we have received as feedback and also evaluating what we do. But what we can improve is the form and the way we present it to you. And we really are taking this very seriously, with light, but seriously. Because immediately when I say serious, I feel like heavier, but with light and lightness. But we really are paying attention to that. We want to make sure that we serve you well, and so that you can actually benefit from it in a way that will help your life to be better and more mindful. And let's take that and talk about why closing, bringing things to an end properly, is important in life. It's not just about our podcast, but in general, it is important. We always are taught how to initiate things. I actually literally taught on that mindful endings. I offered a 6-week class at UCLA, and the beginning statement was that in the Western world, there's a lot of support, a lot of talk, a lot of encouragement about how to initiate things and begin things. And there's very little support and teachings and learning around how to bring things to an end. And
Yeah.
we know that anything that is happening, especially things that are alive, there will be an end to it. And once we learn these smooth landing and ending, life becomes far more interesting and also far more happier, because we really are almost against, we lead our life as as if endings don't happen and endings don't exist. Yet we know from experience, we see that endings are part of life and beginnings. And this is a very important aspect of leaving um, things in the way that they need to be left, and also bringing them to an end so that we can start fresh with something else and move forward. Um, Ending mindfully, ending with consciousness is just as important as initiating things in life and starting projects, starting life, starting a relationship, starting a job, starting anything. It's very important. It's almost like we're in denial of the end of things, just like we are in denial of death. And probably this is influenced by that. But it's a very conscious act when we pay attention to how do I want to end this when the time has arrived.
There's actual costs to us not doing it, and there's practical benefits to doing it. And we don't realize our minds are so incredibly complex and sophisticated. And we have our subconscious and we have the conscious mind. And we don't realize that, for example, if there was a relationship that I had with someone and it just fizzled out, but there was never a complete closure, there's some loose end, energetic loose end, or in my subconscious mind that is still connected to that person and that relationship. And those things accumulate over
Mhm.
time. When we don't close things, they just accumulate. It's like when your phone has way too many apps open, it's just not going to perform as well. You need to close the apps. And I think we need to do something similar to that, especially if we haven't developed the habit of closing things consciously. Yeah.
Yeah. So as we're speaking about endings, I'm wondering what comes to people's mind. I really am curious. I would love to, like, if they were here, our audience were here, I would love to ask them what comes to your awareness, what endings have not been finalized for you in your life. It could be something emotional. It could be personal. It could be organization of your, I don't know, bill payment. It could be something very practical or emotional or spiritual even. What are the things in life for you that you feel that if you brought them to an end, it would give you some kind of more energy and space to attend to things that are of importance to you? It would be a very good question to ask ourselves. And I sometimes, when I feel a sense of anxiousness, what people call anxiousness. I don't have naturally a lot of anxiousness in my body, but whenever I feel that, I always ask myself, I wonder what I need to understand, and I wonder what I need to end. And lo and behold, I usually find some things. It could be something very small. Believe it or not, it could be the fact that as I'm talking to you, on my peripheral vision, I'm seeing that a door is open. And that is affecting my presence. The fact that this door is like half open or something is hanging from it, it's just giving me this sense of unsettlement. Or it could be the fact that, I don't know, a friend of mine and I had a discussion, and it's sort of like we both didn't want to talk about it, and it went to a place of hanging in the air. And I always like put my hand like this. It's like, it's not a good thing to just have something hang in the air. And I normally find it and I think, okay, I'm going to call them and I'm going to ask them if they're free for a chat or a cup of tea or lunch or something so that I can bring it. And I bring it up. I say, last time we talked about this and I felt the discomfort and I assume you did too. Can we just put it somewhere? And I remember the last discussion I had, they said that, oh, but I don't agree with you. I said, that's fine. I don't want you to agree with me. I just want to close it properly. I
Mm.
want to clean it, wash the bottle and put it where it belonged and then let it go. It doesn't mean that we need to agree with each other. We need to just agree that we're done on this subject. That's all.
Mm. Yeah, I like that. I like that. And you, the listener, you might be wondering, what are some other ways I can apply this concept to my life?
Mm.
And I was thinking, for example, let's say professionally, at your job, you have gotten some feedback and you've gotten some new inspiration about how to show up, how to improve. You realize you're not meeting your fullest potential. At work, you can be doing better. And maybe you're working with a coach and your coach is telling you about all these ways that you can improve. It would likely be really beneficial for you to have some sort of ritualistic or symbolic close. And it could be so simple. You take a vacation, you take a 1 week, 2 week vacation, and that vacation is symbolic of, okay, this chapter of me, of how I showed up at work, is coming to a close. I'm going to take a vacation. I'm going to enjoy the vacation, and I'm going to come back to work really embodying and imbibing these new set of qualities and these new set of values that I want to uphold to realize my fuller potential.
Yeah. And if vacation, either financially or time wise, is not available to you because not everybody can take a 2 week vacation, then what you can do is you can just take an hour or so and journal about it, write down whatever you want to say about this experience, about this job, about whatever happened. And then, I mean, symbolically, I always recommend to my clients to either burn it or throw it into the water or do what feels right for you, but bring it to a close. And you actually can write down those words, that with these words, I bring this experience to a close. And let me add that every experience truly comes to a close when we have learned that which we were supposed to learn. That's when something truly, not just symbolically or practically, comes to an end. Let's say that this job or this relationship or this conversation even, do you know, sometimes you speak on the phone and you feel like there was something not quite satisfying about the way it went. You can always do it at your end. Not always you need to go and reach out to the other person. Closing can be done at your end. We can actually close relationships with people who are not in our life, jobs that are not available to us. We cannot go back and talk to our colleagues or bosses or people that we worked with, but we can always at our end bring it to an end. So using those words are very, very useful. That with these words, I bring it to an end and I write down what I have learned from this experience. This experience taught me to fill in the blank. It could be just very simple, to be more clear about what I say. This experience told me that I would like to fill in the blank, whatever it is for you. But just know that even though it's fantastic to take some time off, you can actually do it if you don't have the time off. All you need is to create a pause, and that pause could be just an hour, could be a day, could be just a weekend that you take to become more connected to yourself and be intentional about what you're planning to do.
Yeah, I really appreciate you bringing that up because it doesn't have to be a big thing. It can.
Mm.
What matters is that it's symbolic to you
Mhm.
and that it feels like a closure for you, um, whatever that might be for you, and whatever your circumstances allow for it. And I think as we go through this process, especially when we're closing more significant things for us. For example, you mentioned relationships. Let's say, um, for those of you out there who might be have ended a relationship with someone, a romantic relationship, and you've been grieving that, and you want to bring that grieving process to a close. I think there's the act of doing the thing that we want to. There's the act of actually doing the thing to bring it to a close, and we also want to take inventory of any part of us that might be resisting that. We want to be honest with ourselves as well. I think it's important because I can think of times in my life where I thought I was bringing something to a close, but it wasn't total. My mind was
Mm.
split. My heart was kind of split. A part of me knew I needed to bring it to a close, and I was kind of forcing it. and
Mhm.
I still had unresolved loose ends, and I didn't acknowledge them. I was kind of tricking myself into believing that no, I'm just going to close it and it's going to be done. But there were still some loose ends for me, and I would encourage you, the listener, if you're if it's something that's a little bit has a little bit more weight for you, emotional weight for you, especially, to really take inventory of where the resistance is, and honor exploring that resistance. And me and Mitra always say this: curiosity is such a powerful tool. You be curious about it. You try and understand it because everything has a reason for being.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes, because we usually ask, I know when I speak, especially to younger people, they ask, I don't know what went wrong. What do you think went wrong? And I said, well, I don't know about wrong, but if you wonder what the lessons were, because when you say, I wonder what went wrong, you're looking for the things that were not good. And it's a question that doesn't bring the closure that we want, because I would never know why, if a relationship, a friendship came to an end, what happened at their end. I hardly know what happened at my end. And I try to be curious about it. So if we change that question to, I wonder what are my lessons, that would take us much closer to closing than it would if you wanted to see what went wrong. I wonder what were the lessons that this relationship taught me that I need to learn in life, because we experience things for a purpose. And that's why it's important to bring it to an end. And by end, I mean to understand why it existed and what was its mission for us in life. Because everything, in my view, of course, very personal, is there to serve me. And I wonder, as this comfort, as uncomfortable as it was, and the discomfort that I felt was real, I wonder what were the learnings in that? What was I supposed to learn and grow from this? And that allows it to become a very meaningful ending. And anything that is meaningful can serve you. It doesn't need to be the happiest day or happiest relationship of your life. It can serve you if you have learned something from it. And from the practical side, um, there might be things that we can physically do. I was speaking to a young student of mine last week, and they said that they keep checking the social media of the person that they were with before. And it is so hurtful and it is so harmful, especially in the beginning, to see your partner, somebody that you cared for and or were in love with, to be with somebody else. It never works. When you stop doing that and you end it from within, and then you go out and check it, then it's different. But when you keep checking things, you're keeping that pain alive for you, and it doesn't allow you to end things in a conscious way. So if you're a audience of ours that is going through an ending of a relationship, I invite you to stop all the physical contacts. We want to be friends, sounds really good, but it needs to have a pause before that is possible, and it's not possible all the time. And then look at the experience you had in a more um, substantial way. What was my learning? What did it teach me? How can I take my learnings from this relationship to the next one? And then that would be a completely different experience, and it allows you to end it and bring it to an end in a far more smoother and fruitful way.
Yeah. Yeah, you bring up a really good point, Mitra, and it's the things that we do, the habits that we might have that stand in the way of us ending, despite us saying that we want to end it. Yeah. And I think it's important also for us to clarify, we're talking about curiosity and what curiosity is, but what is curiosity not? Okay. So sometimes we might think we're being curious about something, but really we're being very analytical about
Yes.
things. We're being hyper analytical and we're wanting to dive into the details of why things happened and whose fault is it. and what thing in my past is really the thing that has triggered this, and really getting into analyzing details that are not important for letting go.
Or
So
helpful.
there's a so what is curiosity? Curiosity is soft. Curiosity is playful. It's more lighthearted. There isn't a charge to curiosity, right? There isn't a I need to know. There isn't any of these strong emotions associated with curiosity. So if those are there, you just become aware that okay, that is not curiosity, and that's okay.
Mhm.
And then you can try and practice to be curious about that thing that is wanting to analyze. you know so
Yes.
and that awareness alone can be so powerful, right? Just naming things can be so powerful, right? Just saying, becoming aware, like, okay, I'm feeling a charge. I'm just naming that is there. That is uh, not my true self looking. That is some part of me that is activated, and that's okay. And if we cannot move into that state of curiosity, we don't need to force it. That's another thing. Nothing is forced. If it's not coming to you, just take a break from it, you know?
Yes.
It
My invitation for those who want to be truly curious, the way I recognize whether it's my curiosity or other things at play, is that curiosity does not have an agenda. I'm not going there to find something specific. It goes in
mhm.
absolutely no agenda. So I say, let's say I think about you and I want to like find out something about you. I'm just open. It's like they call it in the world of mindfulness, beginner's mind. So
Mm,
when I go with the beginner's mind, then I don't have an agenda. I want to find out about Ben. I don't want to find out about Ben so that I can prove that he's not this and that or he is this and that. So curiosity, the difference between judgment and curiosity is that curiosity doesn't have an agenda and judgment has an agenda. I'm asking a question, I'm exploring it in order to find supporting documents for my
mhm,
judgment or for
mhm.
my assumptions. But curiosity says, I don't know, let me find out. It's like almost the first time you say a word and I don't know what that means. I say, look, let me go and find out. Or you say, Mitra, take this supplement. And I say, well, I wonder what it's there. You know, there's excitement to find out. There is almost pleasure in not knowing, but in something that is not curiosity but it's pretending to be curiosity, there is there's a different sense. There's a mission that I need to accomplish. I want to show you and prove to you that such and such is good or bad or wrong or right. So yeah, it's very
Yeah.
easy, and I invite those of you who are listening to us, please practice this and see how that feels in your body. Curiosity, as Ben said, is very soft in your body. There is no there's no charge to it in a negative way. And judgment has that. Judgment gets disappointed. Judgment gets really happy when it finds what it was looking for. So yeah, there's a huge difference, and I'm glad you brought it up, Ben, because curiosity is very important in the way we bring everything into closing. And on that note, let us bring this episode into a closing by saying that we believe and we recommend and invite you to explore that closing is a very important part of having and leading a conscious life. So as much as we pay a lot of attention to initiating and beginning, we need to pay the same attention and give same importance to closing things. And closing things could be something practical, or it could be relationship, emotional, psychological, or even energetic and spiritual. Closings are very important, and bringing things to an end allows us to basically learn from our experiences, create space, and begin something else in a fresh way.
So, as you know by now, we're taking a break from publishing episodes. We're probably gonna publish our first episode for the next season in about 4 weeks, so you can expect that. And we'd also love to hear from you. So if you have feedback for us, please let us know.
So stay tuned. This is not goodbye. This is see you later. And until then, take good care and we'll see you soon.
Thank you so much for tuning in today. For a list of the links and other resources referenced in this episode, check out the podcast description.
If you're benefiting from our podcast, we'd love if you could help us reach more people by subscribing. Your support means the world to us. From our hearts to yours, we thank you.